ever say something you wish you could take back? Like instantly. Happens to all of us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, get ready, because today we're going deep on the power of words. The ones that lift us up. And yeah, the ones that sting. We're taking inspiration from an episode of the Walking in Wisdom podcast. They're all about finding wisdom in Proverbs. Fascinating stuff.
I like it already.
And they had this episode, a communication expert and a pastor unpacking a verse that really stuck with me. Proverbs 18.21.
Oh, that's a good one. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Powerful stuff.
Right. The tongue has the power of life and death. And what I find interesting is, even though it's from a faith-based podcast, that idea, it just resonates beyond any one belief system.
Oh,
you know?
it does.
It's like a reminder that those little comments we make to a coworker, or even like the tone we use in a text, it can really have an impact.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating about that verse, it's the choice it highlights. It's not just about avoiding harmful speech, but it's about like actively choosing to use our words for good. And that idea of using words constructively with kindness and respect, it's something you see in secular ethics too. It's universal.
It's true. It's like we all know words can hurt, but this proverb, it flips the script. It's not just don't be mean. It's like, what good can you do with what you say?
Exactly. And the guests on the podcast, they really dug into that. The communication expert, she was all about being mindful, especially in the heat of the moment. You know, when you feel that surge of emotion, you just want to fire back a response.
Oh, I know that feeling.
She was all about hitting pause, just taking a beat.
Easier said than done sometimes. But I can see how just taking a breath before responding could totally change things.
Oh, absolutely. That pause, even if it's just for a second, it creates space for empathy. And that was another big point she made, trying to understand where the other person is coming from.
It's like putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Right? But actually doing it when you're angry or frustrated, that's tough.
It is, but it can make such a difference. When we communicate with empathy, it's like we're way more likely to choose words that build bridges instead of, walls.
Makes sense.
And speaking of choosing our words carefully, the podcast, they brought up another proverb that I thought was really interesting. Proverbs 15.1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Right. It's like the proverb version of, you catch more flies with honey.
Exactly. But it really shows how just like a little shift in how we're talking to someone can totally change things.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting. They took this idea of like thoughtful communication and they connected it to something bigger. They were talking about how our words, even the little ones, they all kind of add up to the overall feeling of our families, our workplaces, our communities,
It's like that ripple effect.
Yes, exactly.
One snarky comment, even if you mean it as a joke, can like bring the whole mood down.
Totally. And on the flip side, a few kind words can totally make someone's day. The communication expert, she actually made a point of saying, like, we often overlook the impact of positive words, just creating a healthier, more supportive environment.
That makes me think of Mr. Rogers. Did you ever watch his show?
Oh, yeah, I love Mr. Rogers.
I heard he used to tell his viewers that he liked them just the way they are in every single episode.
Wow.
He understood how powerful those words could be,
Yeah.
especially for kids, right?
Oh, totally. And speaking of powerful analogies, there's one they shared from the Bible that really stuck with me. It compares the tongue to the rudder of a ship.
Right. It's from James. It's like the rudder is tiny compared to this huge ship, but it completely controls where the ship goes.
Exactly. It's amazing, right?
It really is.
And our words, even the little ones, they can be like that rudder, steering our lives, our relationships. It really makes you think twice about those little comments, those sarcastic jokes we make, doesn't it?
No kidding. Like every word is a little course correction,
Yeah.
taking things in one direction or the other.
Yeah, and it brings us right back to Proverbs 18.21, that idea of our words having the power of life and death. It's a powerful image. It's like a challenge, to really be intentional, to choose words that lift people up, encourage them,
So as we're wrapping up here, thinking about words, how they impact us, I think the takeaway is words matter.
They do.
They really do. They have the power to like leave a mark, for good or for bad, unfortunately.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we leave you today, think about a time when someone's words really inspired you or like gave you a boost right when you needed it. What was it about those words that made them so powerful? And how could you use your own words to have that same positive impact on the world around you?